So can you just tell us, are you a bit shell-shocked after that, particularly the last few minutes, or is that just part of the way it is?
Yeah, that's footy. It's round one. You know, there's some disappointing, obviously, first half in how that went. Things were sort of swung against us there, and it got out. And I thought I really enjoyed the fight back in that second half. I felt like we were coming. Momentum had shifted. We made that move, and then we just didn't execute well enough to. We had enough possession there with sort of 15 to go to go after them, and we credit to them, they held us out, and then it turned around. But the story's 42 points is unacceptable for a game. No matter how you feel or how it went, there's no way that that's acceptable in a performance, and we know that, and it's pretty simple. We've got to make sure we fix that up.
Thinking infringement count one going to like 11 to 2. How frustrating was that?
Yeah. I think things will go against you. I think 11-2. The opposition apply a lot of pressure. It depends on the referee about how they determine those, and 11-2's quite incredible in our game. Then we had video ref decisions. And all of that. But as I go back to, depending on what team you want to be, is how much of a swing against you do you let in that many points, for us. And I'm okay. I think we'll execute the attack. I'm not worried about missing that execution. It would have been nice to get that back. But we want to be a team that you can have 11 to it against, you can have decisions go against you, and then you can put your gloves up and say, that's cool, all right, we might be a few points down, but we can hold on to that no matter how far it swings. Round one, we're not, we weren't able to do that. Round two, we'll see.
Trent, David Sherrick, his first official game in terms of NRL games for the Roosters.
Yeah, it's good to get him out there, and to see him and Sammy moving around together. I know it was a tough night for all of us out there, so it didn't go as he wanted, but it's getting started for us there, and they started moving a bit more than the Parramatta trial, so that's a positive. It's an okay start. I know he's disappointed in there, but cool, let's go.
A couple of changes before the game as well, like the partner moving from prop to lock. What was some of the reason behind that?
Well, Spencer Leniu, he did his hammy in the warm-up, so that's why the change. So he didn't play, and Blake Steep came in to the team, and then Fiketti played reserve grade and ended up playing sort of the last 14 minutes possibly on that. So that was the reason for the change.
What's the severity of Spencer's injury?
It doesn't seem too bad, but not good enough to play.
Would it be fair to say that at times you combined really well for a couple of balls, long range tries, a couple of balls, but then at other times the continuity just didn't quite seem to be there?
No, I don't think so. 28 points. Yeah. What did we score? What was it? 18 points?
Yeah, 18 points.
Yeah. So we were, I thought we opened them up a lot, and I don't think to look to the combination is looking in the right area about, I think we could have grabbed one or two more. I think, a couple got pulled back there. So I didn't see the combination as an issue. It'll improve, that's for sure, but we're looking in the wrong spot for the reason for that game.
James, you're obviously pretty frustrated with how things were going out there on the field. That, I guess, manifested itself in the last 10 minutes there. Talk about that.
Yeah, like Robert said, we had a lot of calls go against us on the penalty count and a couple of tries, and then a couple of their tries as well. So it was disappointing. Like Robert said, we still let in that many points, and we can't be doing that. So that's disappointing, especially that last 10 minutes leading a couple of tries when we were sort of fighting our way back and giving ourselves a chance. We had a couple of opportunities we didn't execute, and then yeah, it wasn't a great 80-minute performance. So I feel like there was some positives throughout the game in patches, but yeah, it's disappointing to sort of put all that work in pre-season and come over and let in that many points.
James, 11-2, I think it was 18-7 in the end. Like, what are you saying to the troops out there as captain? Like, how do you get them up?
Yeah, I mean, well, our discipline wasn't good enough. I mean, yeah, you can say the ref obviously made those calls and penalised us, or gave 6 again, which is part of the game. But I think it was just on us to sort of hold our gloves up and defend as best as we could. And I thought we did that in patches, but then we just didn't do it for the full 80 minutes. So it's hard because momentum was definitely against us. And I thought we swung it back at the start of the second half, scored some tries, and got our way back in the game. But as I said, Robbo said that we didn't execute when we had those last couple of chances, and then just didn't play through the full 80 in that last 10.
Thanks, everyone.
And the opposition fullback, the rock star, the superstar, Reece Walsh, didn't have his best game. Where did he go wrong tonight, Brandy?
I just think it was a lack of possession and lack of pressure that they put on Penrith. Braith, it's very hard. It's easy to pinpoint the spine and the stars of the team and say they weren't at their best, but when you don't complete, when you make as many errors as the Brisbane side did, you're not able to build pressure and put yourself in those positions enough times. And when you look at it, the thing about some of the errors they made, like that one there, that was there to be caught. Reece Walsh opened the space up. Jordan Ricky just dropped the ball cold. So, they won't be happy with it. But
he still looked their biggest threat, Walsh.
Whenever he runs the ball, he's a threat,
didn't he?
Well, he's quicker than anyone on the field.
Yeah.
So whenever he runs it on an edge, that is red alert for the edge defenders. And it didn't come off tonight. But again, I'm sure Michael Maguire's not panicking, and they've still got a star-studded team that they'll get the best out of.
What did we make of the late change to Brisbane? Ben Hunt coming in and starting at 5'8", and Ezra Mam going back to the bench.
I couldn't get my head around it, Mick.
Yeah.
I really couldn't. Ezra is... You saw it in the grand final, right, coming off the bench. And I understand at that part, Ezra had missed a big part of the season. The other guys had kind of earned their positions in those, in Ben Hunt and Reynolds and the likes. But for me, in this case, after a pre-season, when he is your best option at 5'8", and you've got to start fast, and it's always hard, Mick, and you guys would know this as halves. I don't know if you ever started off the bench much. I did a couple of times. It's hard to get into the game as a half when you're on the bench. You're kind of watching. You're not in the rhythm of the game. You want to make an impact when you come on. Sometimes you try a little bit too hard, which I thought Ezra did tonight.
Yeah.
I would have started him. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's again probably it's the coach's call to make that decision. I guess Maguire maybe wanted to go back to last year's grand final. That's what they started with. With Pakes at 9, Hunt at 6, and then Ezra coming off the bench.
But two ageing halves, though.
Yeah.
The World
He's had a
Club
full pre-season though, so it couldn't be a fitness thing or
No.
So I'm not. Again, that's something for Michael Maguire to sort of.
What would you have done, Brent?
The World Club Challenge Ezra started.
Yeah.
I know I'd start Ezra. I think, and I've been saying this sort of leading up to this year, that I think off the back of what I saw Ezra do last year when he got onto the field, and there was games, there was a game in particular against the Bulldogs at a core stadium, and Ezra won, like he's a match winner. He can win you the match on his own. He can do things and win your team the game. And I just think he's...
Bit hard to do that when you're sitting on the ball.
Well, I don't think there's a need
tonight. I felt sorry for him because having to do that defensive workload, that left edge of Brisbane got put under a lot of pressure. But through the middle of the field, it's death by 1,000 cuts against Penrith. Like, they just stay at you, stay at you until you break. And I know that there were stoppages tonight, but they were still relentless through the middle. And then for Ben Hunt at 35 to then have to go and do that defensive workload on the left where it was quick, it was a fast start, to then have to move into the middle and have to try and execute, be creative.
Well, bring energy in there too,
and get his
man.
job done defensively.
Yeah.
It's a big ask. It really is a big ask. I would have thought that Brisbane would have been more suited to bringing Ben Hunt onto the field fresh and just allowing... I love the combination, and I love it of Mam and Walsh together. They just have this incredible chemistry together. Like, they're both just
But you want them to build
they're
that too, though.
electric.
You want them to build that throughout
That's
the
right.
year. You know, as many games as they possibly can to get better in that combination.
Yeah, well, they've had a lot of games together and they've proven that they can be match winners. But tonight, you know, their execution was poor, and tonight was probably the night more than any other night. They're just relying on that one individual to jag something, to inspire them to maybe get a try or line break, but it just wasn't.
Well, there was only one line break.
Yeah,
from the Broncos,
I can't even remember.
which is unusual.
Was that? Can you remember when that was?
No.
No.
All right, what about Payne Haas? I mean,
thanks, Brady.
he was searching for some help. Brady just said, "Yeah, mate, move on." Payne Haas, a lot's going to be said, whether you like it or not, or agree with it or not, about him and his move to the Bunnies, and whether that impact or had an impact on this performance, and even probably in the next few weeks, months, who knows, right?
But that'll stay all year. So that's a cloud that the Broncos will have to deal with all year, you know, I believe. But his numbers tonight, Braith, suggest anything but not showing up and playing for his team. There's his tackles. He got replaced there at one stage and nearly refused to come off.
He wasn't happy.
He didn't want to come off. And they both played 80 minutes last week, in the World Club Challenge. Payne and Paddy, but both had big minutes. So, you know, tonight again, I thought he was probably one of Brisbane's better forwards with his energy.
I don't necessarily mean him, though. I mean, the noise is going to be more around the
the
group.
team?
Yeah, because he's always going to turn up and run those metres and give his all, you know. And it's just whether, Mick, it has an impact subconsciously, I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, again, when someone of the magnitude of Payne Haas, after winning a competition, only months later turns around and says, I'm leaving. You know, as I said, like Payne's the ultimate professional, and if he's not 10 out of 10 every week, he's 9.5. So every week, in terms of how he prepares and how he performs. But after nights like tonight, and if things don't, you know, necessarily always go to plan for Brisbane this year, there's just that distraction and those questions around the club of why Payne's left and has it had an effect on the group, and it's just noise around the group that just wasn't there last year. I
won't go away either.
Yeah, well,
so they got to deal with that, right?
That's more the fact.
Yeah, I think it's hard to judge any of the Broncos individuals tonight off the back of that performance.
Yeah.
Like off the back of their team performance, where they completed. Their completion rate was as bad as it's been for the last 9 years. That was the worst. So, you know, it's very hard to judge any of those individuals, on whether they had a good... They all contributed to the error making, but they cut that out of their game. And I don't... That wasn't an issue with the Broncos last year. Like, we spoke historically about the Roosters and their completion rates and the errors that they make. Which does seem to be part of their game, and it has been for a long time. I don't think you can say that about Brisbane. So,
be a great test next week, because both Brisbane and Parramatta back-to-back nights have had disappointing performances from what they would expect from themselves, and so next week almost brings a perfect timing of clash, because we'll see two different footy sides, I think.
How many errors did they make just playing the ball? Just then, like Tony Staggs, just before half-time, the little fumble at the play the ball, and that must have happened 7 or 8 times. That doesn't happen regularly.
No,
that's just a...
Well, there were 2 or 3 try scoring up, as we've seen in some of the vision there, where if they catch the ball, they score. You know,
we do need to remember it is only round 1. You know, and a lot of teams do struggle in round 1 or in the first month of the season to find their feet, combinations and timing and all that. So I'm sure the Brisbane.
Well, we're not singing, you know, doom and gloom.
No.
However, you do have to react on the back of what a performance
the one
is.
thing
like the Parramatta one, like the Roosters tonight. You got to comment on what they threw up.
The one thing that I think fundamentally they'll be a lot better next week. Timing gives you that. At the start of the season, they've had travel, they've played in different conditions tonight, humid. Timing's an issue in the first month. It just happens. But I think the one thing that Brisbane need to take out of tonight is what's our best spine, and let's start with that.
I agree.
What is that, Mick, in your opinion?
I think it's Reynolds, Mam, Walsh and Pakes. And I think Ben,
starting at 9, and then you got Hunt coming on.
I do, because I think he's a great impact player, Ben Hunt. He can bring something, whereas I think Pakes, he doesn't bring
that.
that.
To get through his work.
Yeah, he's just solid.